Services Committee, and you have just introduced the Stop DEI Act to protect equal opportunity in higher education. Thank you so much for being with us. So tell us a bit more about this bill and why you felt it was so important, necessary even, to take on this fight.
Thank you so much for having me, Edie and John. You know, time and time again, the American people rejected the far-left DEI policies, as you just said, those being pushed on them by out-of-touch politicians. So, you know, we've had California voters overwhelmingly rejecting these policies at the ballot box. And we also had Supreme Court making clear that students must be evaluated as individuals. So we're sending a clear message. Americans want fairness, not more discrimination. But before that Supreme Court ink was even dried on that court decision, far-left legislatures are already trying to bring it all back through new loopholes in education programs. So you asked me why I do this? Yeah. You know, I'm one of the first Korean-American women to serve in Congress. I can tell you firsthand, no one wants to be reduced to that DEI checkbox, whether you're Asian, Black, Hispanic, or white. I'm so much more than that. And our children are so much more than that. That's why I
just for a second.
Stop DEI Act to ensure those policies don't continue unchecked.
Right. During your life, growing up, did you feel at times that when people looked at you, that's what you were? You were just a check mark. Oh, she's there because she's this or that.
Right. I mean, they will look at you differently and already put a generalization. But you know what? I never let those get in the way of me working hard and trying to pursue my goals. And so I just keep on going. Equal opportunity is as American as it gets. And it's all up to you. It's all in your attitude as well. So that's why I'm going to keep on fighting to protect it and ensure taxpayer dollars never discriminate against our students. So I introduced this bill to if you want federal dollars, you follow the federal law, no exceptions.
And I mean, the Democrats, they've really leaned into this DEI movement. We've seen that over the last many years here. But, you know, President Trump is against this. And the White House actually put out a statement. It reads this: there is nothing inherently less productive about minority workers or minority managers. The issue is rapidly promoting unqualified workers in order to meet racial quotas set forth by DEI. So are you getting help from President Trump, the White House here, and also getting to that point, does it actually make it, you know, people are less qualified for these roles if they're just trying to check the box?
Well, this message, I mean, the bill has been done because I support President Trump's executive order and his initiative. And so my legislation is very simple. If a school discriminates based on race, sex, ethnicity, color, or national origin, it will not receive federal funding. And it applies across all federal education funding streams. And I want to ensure consistency and accountability nationwide. And that's what President Trump is doing, and I support that. And this bill is also serving as a mechanism and serving as a deterrent effect. Right. Schools that treat students equally and follow the law have nothing to worry about. This only targets institutions that prioritize identity over fairness. So here's what I think. Once institutions weigh the cost of forfeiting federal education funds against the value of preserving race-conscious financial aid programs, I think we can expect that most will conform their policies to the federal standard rather than risk their funding. So at its core, this bill protects taxpayer dollars, and it will restore basic principle. As President just said, and as you said, every student, regardless of their background, has inherent worth, and they should be treated equally under the law.
Well, a lot of folks are still quick to jump to the defense of DEI. Take a look.
There will be people who suffer unconscionable pain.
Don't fall for the false argument that this is about the restoration of merit. What this is really about is saying that only some with merit deserve a chance.
But really what DEI at its core is preparing our country for the next generation of leaders.
The Trump administration, Dana, has said that this amounts to, this being DEI, amounts to racial discrimination against white people. But quite frankly, that is a skewed understanding of what DEI has been throughout the federal government. I mean, it's focused on protections for women, pregnant women,
So you hear this. How do you react to folks who say that it shouldn't be on individual merit, that it should be based on your skin color, your gender, your race, whatever?
Gosh, I have to, discredit all of what they are saying. I just want to say that in California, let me give you a quick background. We passed the Prop 209 in 1996, and the Sacramento politicians are actively trying to bring it back, that race-based preferences that voters have already rejected. They did it 3 times, 2021, 2014, 2026 most recently, and ACA 7 that Sacramento legislature passed this, I believe it was in February this year. This is Sacramento's 4th attempt. That would gut Prop 209 and reopen the door to discrimination in our education system.
Right.
And that would undo decades of progress toward equal treatment under the law. So, what they're saying, I don't agree with it, because this is about fairness.
Right.
If a family is struggling and a student needs financial aid and cannot, they need help to go to school, it should not matter what they look like or where they come from. What matters is that they need help. We need to be there. And again, it's got to be based on merit and the needs, not to the systems that pick winners and losers based on identity politics.
Let me jump in here real quick. A lot of these, since President Trump has taken office, he's really tried to crack down on DEI. But some of these companies, they're just changing the name of the program, and they're still going forward with their DEI policies under a different name. Is funding going to be enough if you pull that away? And how do you investigate this to make sure that companies, aren't doing this, or schools to that point?
Well, I hope that the anti-fraud task force that J.D. Vance is leading will go after these institutions that really put in these DEI policies. And to that end, I want to just plug in for No More Scams Act that I'm also working on, because it will put together all of the task force that they're putting together, go after all of these fraud that is happening. Go after institutions if they are not applying these fair, method of bringing. We already took care of that with the 2023. There was a Harvard case that they lost. They said you cannot discriminate students getting into the college admissions based on their race, sex, national origin, or ethnicity. Yeah. So I think the message is very clear. Like I said, we need to ensure that all the taxpayer dollars reflect that, and those funds should go to students based on their need. That's the intent of my bill, Stop DEI Act.
We will be following the progression of it. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Congresswoman Young Kim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, she brings up the Harvard one. That was where Asian students, and they were able to prove